Galwan says hi. 3 words from an actor today that have lit up the headlines and triggered a familiar storm of rage on social media. An actor reacting to an Indian Army commander's statement on readiness to recover Pakistan-occupied Kashmir seemed to be jeering at the army by tweeting Galwan says hi, basically saying, "Arey Galwan संभाला नहीं जाता है, कहाँ POK के सपने देख रहे हो?" A lot of people are angry with this tweet, calling it insensitive, tone-deaf, disrespectful to the army, etc., etc. My own take on it is a little different, viewer, because honestly, I don't think insensitivity or tone-deafness is the crime here, if we're even calling this a crime. Perhaps the actor simply meant, how can you think of pushing the army into mission POK when you cannot handle even a Galwan? To me, what's really sad about those 3 words in that tweet is how wrong and misinformed they are about the Galwan incident, and how it seems to be swayed by propaganda over the last 2 years that Galwan was somehow a humiliation to the Indian Army. I don't believe military operations should be sentimentalized or romanticized. I am the last person on earth to lecture anyone about the armed forces. Everyone has a right to comment and question. There's nothing sentimental about decisions between life and death. But on Galwan, I personally would rather listen to those who actually did the fighting that night in June 2020 in Ladakh. Some of you may know that I've had the privilege of being the only journalist in the country to interview the men of 16 Bihar Regiment, the unit that fought the Chinese intruders in Galwan. And the truth of what happened, not broadcast loudly with crass clippings and blaring propaganda courtesy the Chinese, is far from anything that can be captured in a sarcastic 3-word tweet. The Galwan clash, far from being a humiliation or an embarrassment, actually stands as an example of a much smaller Indian force holding its ground and beating back a much larger, treacherous Chinese force that had been ordered to violate half a century of border peace protocols. The result, as everyone knows, was 20 Indian army men killed in action. The truth about the minimum Chinese casualties on site in Galwan that night is now known owing to the operational report that I accessed earlier this year and put out. But that isn't even the point. This isn't some disgusting body count, the kind of cynical, bloodless game that China has played in order to project that India lost more soldiers than they did. On the contrary, the facts prove that the true Chinese losses in Galwan are the principal reason why that country felt the need to blast body count propaganda so relentlessly from the very start. It is this false idea that India was humiliated that seems to have trickled down into that 3-word tweet that's causing so much anger online. Let's make no mistake, the army is not above question and criticism and should never be. There are hard questions to ask about the Galwan incident like we have here on India Today. But to paint what happened in Galwan as anything but an incredible pushback that still reverberates in that part of eastern Ladakh is to miss the point to make a point.
For more informative videos like this, keep watching India Today News Mo.